What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to Veve Investments. I appreciate you tuning in. On today's episode, we're talking about 21 different backstories to 21 different collectibles on the app. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. Without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, so this past week we had a new country join the GCU, France, and they're being represented by the Parisian Pearl. Now, just like all the other members, if you choose to pick up the first female member of the GCU, you are also going to be getting the sidekick along with her. Now, I've talked about the importance of reviews in the past with Veve, with Amazon, a couple different examples now, but I'm working on gathering reviews for my own site. Now, I am going to be giving away one standard cover, and in order to qualify for one entry into that giveaway, you guys can do that by leaving a review on the site. It takes 30 seconds. You do not have to buy anything. I want to be clear with that. All you need to do is click on whatever product you want to leave a review on, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see the option there. Again, one review is going to equal one entry for Frances Parisian Pearl and her sidekick. Now, like I said, for today's video, we're talking about 21 different collectibles with 21 different backstories. So with that being said, let's hop right into the first one. So first up on the list, we have the Lamborghini Diablo. So a classic Lamborghini for anyone who knows the model. But the Diablo is officially the fastest production car in the world at launch. It was capable of a top speed of 325 kilometers per hour, or a little over 200 miles per hour. This car was definitely ahead of its time when it was first released. It was wide, it was low, it was futuristic. It was a new supercar that soon became a favorite among car enthusiasts across the world. Now, it was produced between 1990 and 2001, and within that time frame, almost 3,000 units were sold in total. Next up on the list, we have Rise of Ultraman #1, a collectible that actually dropped all the way back in Season 1. So forgive me because I don't remember the entire story here, but I do have a good idea of what happened. What you guys are looking at on screen, this piece actually wasn't available in the original drop. So this was a piece that was airdropped to users who actually went for the original drop. That's where my memory is a little foggy. I can't remember the exact issue. I want to say some users were overcharged, but don't quote me on that. But regardless, to mitigate the issue, users who were affected on drop were airdropped this piece as compensation. Now, another thing I want to note, and this actually goes for all Ultraman pieces on the platform, the brand is obviously most popular over in Asia, specifically Japan. But as of right now, the brand is not available in Japan or mainland China. I think it has to do with some sort of legal reasons, but I wanted to make sure I included that for anyone who wasn't aware, because it is a great opportunity, in my opinion, to be able to take advantage of now, considering that most people on the app are in the West and we're still waiting for Eastern markets to come on. Next up, we have Batman RISSO. So another piece back from Season 1. In fact, it's actually part of the first series to ever drop on the app. But the piece is based on the art of Eduardo Rizzo and sculpted by Tony Cipriano. And this was the first Batman black and white statue to ever drop from DC. Next up, let's talk about the purpose behind the serial killers. So the series is created by Ron English, who takes iconic and beloved serial mascots and transforms them into dark and subversive characters. So he often depicts these characters engaged in disturbing or unsettling actions, highlighting the potential negative consequences of the heavily marketed and sugar-laden breakfast cereals they represent. So the idea behind the series is that it aims to draw attention to the issues of childhood obesity, unhealthy eating habits, and the deceptive marketing tactics employed by the food industry. Propaganda, the brand that Ron releases these serial killers under, aims to create a dialogue and raise awareness about the influence of advertising and mass media on society. Next up, we have the 1985 Coca-Cola can, and I think this one's super cool. So this was the first soft drink to ever be consumed in space. Astronauts above the Space Shuttle Challenger enjoyed their Coke by sipping a specially designed Coca-Cola space can while in orbit. So looking at the version over on Veve, I actually originally thought that the little cap on the top there was wood. It's not. It's supposed to be plastic. But I believe the way that it works is it's just supposed to act as a plug, I think. Right? That little piece coming out the top, I think, just plugs into the top to prevent the liquid from, spewing out. Next up, we're sticking with Coca-Cola, but we're moving from the can to the polar bear. So this polar bear, if you guys haven't seen it before, you're pretty much living under a rock. Sports teams have their mascots, and Coca-Cola has theirs. So Coca-Cola's first polar bear print advertisement appeared in France in 1922, and since then, the polar bear has become a holiday season icon the world over. So next up, we have a decon piece. It's always somewhere else. It was created by Mexican multidisciplinary artist Rodrigo Rogi. The character is supposed to be a sort of alter ego for him. His name is R, and like many of us, R is occupied with his phone rather than focusing on the here and now. There was a study that I was reading not long ago, and forgive me because I can't remember who conducted it, but a study was conducted back in 2000 that determined that the average attention span of humans was about 12 seconds. The same study was then conducted in 2020 when COVID hit, and the average attention span dropped down to 8 seconds. What's crazy about that is the average attention span of a goldfish is 9. Make of that what you will. Next up, I want to talk about Day of the Dead for anyone who isn't too familiar with the tradition. So Day of the Dead is a vibrant and colorful Mexican holiday that honors and remembers deceased loved ones. So there's an animated movie over on Disney Plus called Coca, and the whole movie is pretty much about the Day of the Dead tradition. Now during this holiday, families create what's called ofrendas, or altars, adorned with marigolds, candles, photographs, and favorite foods of the departed. Families gather at cemeteries to clean and decorate graves, and they engage in lively festivities that include music, dancing, storytelling, and sharing meals. Now, the idea behind the holiday is that during these days, the spirits of the departed will actually return to reunite with their families, and the Day of the Dead serves as a joyful celebration of life and a way to keep ancestral connections alive. Next up, we have the Deadbeats from the deconstructive artist, Mr. Matt Gondek. So this point's going to be real short, but the idea behind these characters is that they're based off of his real-life studio team. So Aaron, Andy, Karina, Matt, and Melvin. Here's a backstory about another decon piece, That Cat Bronson. So he's a laid-back cat who grew up in auto body and tattoo shops. He's created by a man that goes by Mr. Cartoon, and he's inspired by Mr. Cartoon's old cat who used to hang out in his old tattoo shop. Now, the distinctive feature about this character are obviously going to be his eyes, and his eyes are going to be designed to match Mr. Cartoon's favorite car, the 1959 Chevy Impala. Next up, let's talk about the OG Devil Bunny created by Mr. Tristan Eaton. So believe it or not, this character is actually a landmark design that took 18 years in the making. It's a toy that essentially started it all for Tristan. Now, he sketched the character out 18 years ago while he was sitting at a Brooklyn diner in the early stages of his career. Hence the name OG. The iconic toy represents a long-term vision coming to fruition, honoring all the progress made in the industry along the way. Next up, we got the Wayob, or Wayob, or Wyob, or whatever it is. But it's going to be based on the Mayan legend that a human can transform into a supernatural being or animal while asleep or in a hallucinatory trance. The piece depicts a woman who's altered her state of mind. She's become a jaguar, and she's ready to sneak quietly around her enemies and show her true power. As you guys can see, the little jaguar on her head. Next up, another decon piece and another piece created by the same artist, Tara. We have LILITU. So the collectible is based on the Sumerian myth of the demon LILITU, who's a sexually charged yet infertile succubus who represents chaos, seduction, and ungodliness. What a description. She behaves aggressively towards men and children, killing them at their every whim. Why children? Her breasts are filled with poison, not milk, and through her wicked ways, she casts an evil spell on humankind. Next up, we have the Revenge of the Jedi poster, or should I say Return of the Jedi. So this poster just dropped, and before the film's release, there was a huge media attention paid to the movie's change of title, so from Revenge to Return. So what you guys will notice is that every other piece in that series that has a title on the poster does say Return of the Jedi. This is the only one that says Revenge. And because of this reason, the poster became highly sought after by collectors overnight. This is a very difficult poster to find in real life, and I also believe in the long term this is going to be a very difficult poster to get on Veve, only 777 editions. Next up, we have a series on the app called, and I believe you pronounce it as Valfrey, but she designed a whimsical collection of 12 Zodiac characters in her signature retro-futuristic style. Each character within the series is given a unique trait that represents the personality of their star sign. So right now there are 3 on the app. The first one's going to represent the Zodiac sign from March 21st to April 19th. The second from July 23rd to August 22nd. and then the third from November 22nd to December 21st. Now, considering there's 12 zodiac characters, 12 zodiac signs, I'm assuming similar to that of the Chinese stamps, we are going to get all 12 eventually. Next on the list, we're going to talk about two pieces from Allison Bamcat. So the first one is what you guys see on screen. This painting is a love letter to her mother, who's a badass single mother who raised Bamcat and her sister in sunny California. Now in the piece, you see a hybrid creature mixed between a cat and a bird who protects her nest of Easter eggs, and the Easter eggs are supposed to represent her precious babies. The piece is supposed to be a timeless ode to motherhood with a little bit of a twist, showing a vigilant, sharp-eyed griffin who isn't afraid to use her claws. Now the second piece I want to talk about is the first painting that Allison ever tried to duplicate in spray paint on a wall, and apparently the wall did not turn out too great. So the painting celebrates her move back to LA after a 15-year hiatus, returning to her desert roots. The character in the piece embodies the trouble that she got into upon her return, painting in back alleys while steering her art career into the success that she's found today. Now moving over to another artist on the app, let's talk about Gary Baseman. So similar to Allison, we're going to talk about two pieces for him as well. And the first one is what you see on screen. At the center of the piece, you see the soul of a woman dressed in Victorian mourning clothes embracing a moa, and this is a reference to New Zealand's complicated history and heritage. You see forget-me-not flowers growing from the moa, and then a single hopeful morning glory flower, talk about a tongue twister, that blooms in the distant field. The second piece I want to talk about, Wings of Desire. So Wings of Desire pays homage to those that have long inspired Baseman. The piece includes icons from the worlds of fine art, music, TV, film, and animation, and they're mixed with the artist's own original characters, as well as family members like his favorite cousin, his grandfather, and Blackie the cat, all of whom are hybridized, just like in the first one, as moa birds. And the reason why he uses this specific bird is because the moa is extinct to symbolize those that he's loved and lost. Second to last, let's talk about a piece called The Love Space Gives, and this is going to be another decon piece. So the collectible is about the unimaginable vastness of space and the parallels between the unknown that surrounds us, like oceans and deep caves, full of darkness, bioluminescence, and strange new characters. And Tara does actually have a couple pieces on the Veve app that has this little bioluminescence effect. And last but not least, we have a brand that I'm not even going to try and pronounce. But they are a husband and wife duo, multidisciplinary artists based in the Japanese countryside who work collaboratively. Their works often revolve around nature and are disconnection/need for reconnection with the natural world. So it actually took me a little bit of time to notice this because I didn't notice it when it first dropped. But both pieces on the right hand side there are made up with little rabbits. So you have the ocean wave and then what I believe is supposed to be a cherry blossom tree. Ladies and gents, that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. Again, just a little reminder for you guys, we did have the Parisian Pearl drop this past week with her sidekick. So if you guys do want to qualify for an entry for that giveaway, make sure to toss a little review over on the site. Any help is much appreciated. If you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for our next, I'll catch you then.